serious. It can cause hospitalizations and death. Thousands of people a year do die from the flu, and in Washington State last year, about 300 people died from flu-related complications. So who's eligible for the flu vaccine? Pretty much anybody who is 6 months of age or older. That includes pregnant women, children, people over the age of 65. And those are the populations that most because they do not have as strong of an immune system. And just to wrap up, two things that I do want to mention about the flu vaccine. Number one, the flu vaccine does not cause the flu. It is a dead virus. It's not live. It cannot cause it. And the second thing is oftentimes people will come in and say, I've got a great immune system. Why do I need the flu vaccine? And I always like to remind people that it's not just about protecting the individual. It's about preventing the spread of disease in the community. There are many people out there who can't get the flu vaccine due to age or treatment, and there are a lot of people out there who don't have that strong of an immune system, so they are relying on the rest of us to protect them. So again, our flu clinic is from to November 17th. You can find all the information on our website, and if you have any questions, I'll be available afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We know that healthcare is an identified issue for impacting the bottom line of our businesses. We do have at the Chamber a new healthcare program. Jason, if you're interested in getting some screaming discounts, increasing your coverage, and reducing your deductible, see Jason as you get ready for the coming year. So, you know, there's just so much that you could say when you're introducing an elected official like Mayor Jim Farrell. So I cheated a bit and cribbed my intro directly from the summary, thus sparing you all our inside jokes on Game of Thrones. Now that was funny, but you don't know that. So, our annual budget was developed under the leadership of Mayor Farrell with the following goals. Implement the city's economic development initiatives, instill customer service culture and a can-do city government, manage city resources in a responsible and responsive manner, and others. Honestly, I just want to throw in references. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium for an update on the annual city budget, Mayor Jim Farrell.
All right, Beck, I'll do it for you. All right, so in Game of Thrones, and we're not going to get too far into it, I promise. I've got a slideshow on it, but we'll do that later. There's a major character named Khaleesi, who's sort of the queen, and when she gives a certain signal, the dragons come forth with all it is Dracarys. So whenever I get around Beck, I'm like, don't say the word. So whatever you do, don't say the word. Game of Thrones is a fun going on, and it's something that one of the things I enjoy talking about as well is the future of our city. I'm so glad that you're here today, and I really, you know, this was this was rescheduled from our original State of the City address, and you know, this could not come at a better time to be able to really now as a city. And I think it's a very exciting direction, and I'm looking forward to going through this with you. I'd like to say thank you to the chamber, the board, and for having me here to present this biennium budget. I'd like to recognize all the elected officials here today. Thank you very much for your hard work. I'd also like to take a moment. I know the city council was previously introduced, but I really think of them as my policy partners, and they just do a phenomenal job, and we're still working for each and every one of us in our community. All right. So a few weeks ago, I go to my barber here in town, and I was going to get my hair cut, obviously. And as I sat down, my barber immediately looked at it. This very funny. He says, "Someone's been painting." You could see all the paint in my hair, and he looked at me and he says, "What in the world have you been up to?" And I said, "Well, I told him the story." So when I first ran for mayor in 2013, I made a deal with my wife. I said, if you'll let me run for mayor in 2013, I will paint the entire house. Now, exactly. I have no idea what I was agreeing to. And but it's important to keep your word. And so the very next year in 2014, after I won during the hot days of August, I set about to paint our house. And boy, what an undertaking it was. And it was interesting. And I kept that promise. This is the part I want to talk to you about. There was one side I just couldn't get to, and it was the side behind the gate, shielded from view. I did but it also happens to be the longest side. It's a side that nobody sees. There's another house and a gate, and anyway, I had a lot of excuses for it. So yes, the other side of the house, the other sides looked great, and I put all kinds of coats on it. But there was that one side that needed attention. And to do the job of painting the entire house, I knew it needed to be done right. Weeks ago to finish that job. Setting aside 4 cans of paint and mentally preparing myself for about 9 hours worth of work. That's how long it takes me. I was up on the ladder, through, stretching to get that hard to reach pitch. And it's hard work, it's monotonous, but it's one of those jobs that has a tendency to leave you with paint on your hands, specks in your hair, and reminders of the hard work days after your job is finished. Detail when it comes to the side nobody sees what really truly counts. And it really determines character. What do we do when people are not looking or when it's not necessary? I knew that a well done and complete prepare for when the storm comes. The roof, or paint the house in my case, is when the sun is shining. And that is exactly where we're at in my point in this administration for the city. We're setting out to paint that side that nobody sees, getting our financial house in order. Now, during the first 4 years of my administration, I focused my sights, and we as a council and the mayor's office focused on carving out a new downtown. We started with which used to be piles of cement rubble surrounded by a cyclone fence. But now it's the jewel in the heart of a new downtown. Last month, Town Square Park also hosted the Flavor of Federal Way Festival, where about 1,000 people came out to enjoy some great entertainment, sample ethnically diverse foods, and browse booths of more than 50 vendors and nonprofits. The park has truly become a place where we can gather as a community. The vision for downtown keeps progressing, with Spectra taking over management this August of the Performing Arts and Event Center. It is poised to really blossom and start bringing in a wide variety of events and performances to Federal Way. Now, with our reacquisition of the hotel property on the site of the former Target property, we jumped at that opportunity to intervene into a situation that was stuck at a standstill and keep a piece of land in our possession that will become an invaluable asset for our community and our downtown. It might certainly mean the permanent site of the University of Washington Federal Way campus that I'll talk about in a few moments. And while the downtown staircase is on hiatus until the very beginning of 2019, I'm confident that the selection of the prevailing bid will produce a product that will dovetail with our budget and our architectural vision that we first envisioned. It's about creating this sense of center in our community that we have so long missed. I'm proud of what we've been able to do with our downtown at this point. We're breathing new life into it, transforming it for future generations, and laying the groundwork for what will be an economic engine and a destination, a location when the Sound Transit Light Rail is completed, just about 6 short years from right now. Second term, I'm shifting my focus to revenue sustainability and aligning our budget priorities to correct structural imbalances long before I was elected. When a car's alignment, we all know this just from general experience, when a car's alignment starts to fail, it can slightly start to pull one side or to the other. The driver's wheel to bring the car back to the center of the road. A bad alignment can also affect fuel economy and cause uneven trend wear patterns. An automobile is a system of working pieces that depend on each other, similar to a city government. One problem not taken care of can affect the other parts. The only way to permanently fix the problem and get the car running straight is to get an alignment, and in this case, a realignment. Our city's financial position needs an adjustment to keep us running straight and narrow. So, how do we achieve that result? George Washington once said, quote, "We must consult our means rather than our wishes." This is why, on the recommendation of Councilmember Hong Tran, we utilized zero-based budgeting principles. Now, in 1970, Pete Pyre introduced the world to zero-based budgeting in an article Business Journal. Pyre, an accountant manager at Texas Instrument at the time, said that many line items were historically and traditionally budgeted, regardless of the need for them. Pyre eventually made the transition from the private sector to the public sector, accepting an offer from then Georgia Governor Jimmy Carter to manage Georgia's budget process. Before we get to the results of what that has yielded with the zero-based budgeting approach for the 19 and 20 budget, I want to touch on some highlights for each of our departments and the great things our city governments, our city employees are doing. Now, in Parks and Recreations, the community center continues to be the destination location for residents, including my son, who just loves the place. We're going to set all-time highs for membership and daily attendance in 2018. The hard work put into the facility also translates into the great programs run by the community center staff. We successfully implemented a new after-school program in partnership with the Federal Way Public Schools. Thank you, Tammy. We also launched a new inclusive day camp for children with disabilities. Our parks continue to attract visitors from all over the region. Celebration Park was packed in July for the Special Olympics USA Games. We continue to support new special events in addition to the regularly scheduled large events. And despite the difficulty and dangers involved with cleaning up homeless encampments, our Parks Department workers get the job done. And despite a 3 staff, Dumas Bay continues to be a revenue producer for the city. The staff there work hard to produce a redesigned website that has led to an uptick in rental inquiries. Now, in community development, you see new projects going up all over the city. But what you don't see is the behind-the-scenes work our department puts in. The permits department issued permits for some major improvements projects for Illinois Yogurt, the King County Library on 320th Street, and the North Shore heated storage, among the major ones. We've collected more than $800,000 in fees in permits so far this year. We continue to welcome new businesses to Federal Way. The Northwest Kidney Centers recently opened an administrative office and a clinic in Federal Way, bringing 100 employees here. The city of Federal Way also has among 139 census tracts in 36 counties across the state, approved earlier this year by Governor Jay Inslee for an opportunity zone, enabling them to offer special federal tax breaks to encourage development and job creation. And that's in large part to the efforts of Tim Johnson and the support of our city council. How about our IT department? Working behind the scenes, again, those spots you just don't see, the IT department continues to install grant-funded crime prevention surveillance cameras all over town. IT workers are also in the midst of completing a major geographical information system mapping technology upgrade, which will allow the community and staff easier access to mapping and geographic resources. Another unheralded department, the city clerk's office, does great work. Staff there recently applied for a technology tools grant through the Washington State Archives Local Records Grant Program to help acquire a system that will create a more user-friendly experience for residents who come to the website searching for public documents. And for anyone who has ever filed a public records request, you probably want to get an answer to your question quickly. Well, the clerks do just that. They fulfilled 501 public requests in 2017. An increase of over 135% the last 4 years. You will likely notice every day when you're driving around town the impact of our fabulous Public Works Department has on the roads and infrastructure. We completed $1.5 million of overlay projects in both 2017 and 18, and will continue to do so. We're working to complete the Adaptive Control Traffic Program on 320th. You know the feeling, we've all been there, when you're driving down 320th and you get stuck at one red light after another. It's maddening. This program, which is run out of a control booth at City Hall, gives us the ability to man traffic in real time in order to cut down on choke points during peak commute periods. You can also feel the department's reach beyond your car. Our teams completed sidewalk improvement projects at Steel Lake Park, 21st Avenue South, and 20th Avenue South and South 316th. We also completed a citywide LED streetlight conversion as well as the Lakota Park Stormwater Facility Repair Project. These projects were completed on time and within budget. Although the Sound Transit project is quite a ways from breaking ground here in Federal Way, we at the city have a dedicated employee in our Public Works Department, Mr. Tony Doucette, who is the liaison with the project. And as co-chair of the Tacoma Extension Project, I have a seat at the table, along with my neighboring jurisdiction, in protecting Federal Way's interest in an expansive project like this one. And how about our police department? Former California governor, I know I'm going to quote the governor here, the former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, once said, "Government's first duty and highest obligation is public safety." I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of good news to report. Crime is down in Federal Way across almost every reported category. And this is the startling statistic. Crime is down. Through June of this year, crime is down 17% in the first 6 months of 2018. We anticipate having the lowest overall crime rate in 5 years if those numbers stay true. And that comes on the heels of a 10% drop in the previous year, 2017. During my time as mayor, overall crime is down 4 out of the last 5 years. My mentor, the legendary King County prosecutor Norm Millen, used to refer to certain crimes as life, those that affect everyday residents. That's car theft, burglaries, things that just affect your view of your community. We are seeing significant decreases in those crimes as well. Vehicle thefts are down 21%. Larceny is down 25%. Residential burglary is down 9%. And even vandalism is down 4%. And that's just the great work and everyday work our police department does. Since taking office, with the support and partnership of our city council, we have increased our police officer positions by 10, making public safety a priority for our community. This year, we authorized, again with the assistance and partnership of council, authorized the hire of 5 police officers, funded in part by a Department of Justice grant, boosting our total number of officers to 134. Our department is a nationally accredited law enforcement agency. We were officially accredited by the CALEA commissioners with the Gold Standard Award in Excellence. Now let's take a look at the makeup of the city's financial picture for 2019. And it wouldn't be a budget presentation without a couple of pie charts. We have the pie chart up here illustrating the revenue streams for city revenues. The largest amount of revenue is for charges of service, with a little more than $22 million. One example of that is permit fees paid by developers or residents. The next largest revenue producer is other financing sources, such as transfers of real estate excise tax funds, or REIT funds, that can only be used for capital funding, or transfers from the general fund, coming in at a little more than $18 million. Sales tax revenue comes in at $15 million, followed by utility tax at $12.3 million, intergovernmental at $12.2 million, and finally property tax revenues at nearly $11 million. Now let's look at the budget expenditures for the various departments of the city. The police department makes up about $31 million. That includes SCORE jail contract costs and 9/11 dispatch. The Public Works Department checks in about $30 million, while non-departmental such vehicle replacement charges is about $31 million. You can see the other departments' individual budgets there as well. It's no secret that we face certain challenges when it comes to bringing in more revenue. In fact, it was the top goal identified by the City Council and I at the council retreat back this February. The passage of Initiative 747 in 1997 locked in a 1% limit to the maximum increase in tax revenue that could be levied through the property taxes. When I-747 took effect, Federal Way's neighboring cities got locked into a higher rate than we are. And that's the structural imbalance, and that's the inequity that we see in the region. That has caused us to fall behind in keeping up with inflation over the years, which has increased certainly by more than 1% a year. But our city, with our great city council, has a great track record of addressing budget shortfalls in a responsible manner. We take great pride in being a responsible steward of taxpayer dollars. Earlier this year in March, we remedied an $854,000 deficit in a very rapid amount of time frame. And things looked daunting at the time, but we were able to bridge the gap through a variety of sources and methods that took leadership and ingenuity. Lee Iacocca, who breathed new life into the Chrysler Corporation as a CEO in the 1980s, said, quote, "We are continually faced with great opportunities brilliantly disguised as insoluble problems. We are all about solving problems, akin to stretching and finding a way to get that hard to reach spot that when you're trying to paint. Now we have an opportunity to get the city of Federal Way on a sustainable path." Now, to go back to the results of the zero-based budgeting that we embarked on, I want to talk with you about the detailed roadmap of 2019. One of the things that we did, there were smaller departments of the city that were already operating on such a small margin. I asked the directors of the big four departments, Parks and Rec, the Police, Public Works, and Community Development, and they dug deep and found more than $200,000 each in savings and efficiencies, for a total of approximately $1 million in efficiencies to address 2019. We also identified $500,000 in savings for our SCORE jail cost, and $100,000 savings coming from no longer paying the management contract for Center Stage. These pieces will help bring us closer together to budgetary alignment. We have been living within our means, and my proposed fiscally responsible budget adheres to that mantra. My proposed budget acknowledges that there is a tax fatigue in our region, and trust me, we hear that loud and clear. That is exactly why this budget features no tax increases, and why we will not lay any city employees off. Earlier this year, our finance director, Ade Irula, said we would need, as things stood right there before we did any of this, he projected that we were going to need to dip into strategic reserves for the general fund to a tune of $1 million per year, 19 and 20. And my immediate response when I heard that, and when he had briefed me on it before, was, no, we won't. And ladies and gentlemen, my proposed budget will not do that. In fact, my proposed budget that I have provided to council now, and I gave the presentation last night, not only has us not dipping into strategic reserves at all, we're going to pay back the strategic reserves at $100,000 a year that we were able to use when we addressed the shortcoming from $854,000 earlier this year. We're paying back that reserve. The reserve needs to be at about a 17% or $9 million figure. That is a very important thing for the city, for its financial viability and to making sure that we get good bond ratings. In this biennium, we're working on several issues that we're focused on. We need to adjust the salaries of our city staff. More on that in just a minute. We need to conduct a comprehensive salary survey workload study. Again, I'll talk about that in just a moment. And on the recommendation of our police chief, Andy Wong, I recommended to the council that we walk away from the SCORE jail agreement. The city council last night affirmed that decision during last night's city council meeting, voting unanimously to give me authority to notify SCORE that we will be leaving that interlocal agreement that we've been in for those years. The savings in our 2019 budget that I previously mentioned will allow for a needed living adjustment for non-represented city employees. We also need to conduct a comprehensive salary survey and workload study. We need to take care of our people. The last salary survey was done well more than 5 years ago. We are in the business of providing needed services. We've built up a staff of highly qualified individuals who are very good at their jobs. They have a wide breadth of institutional knowledge, but we continue to lose good people to other cities. We are losing that intellectual capital because they are finding a more competitive salary package elsewhere in neighboring jurisdictions. Since downsizing in certain departments several years ago during the economic downturn, some of our employees' scope of work has changed. They have been asked to do more with less, and they need to be properly compensated. Turning our attention to 2020, we will truly see the positive financial impact of SCORE. Our initial projections predict a net savings of $2.1 million per year for the city of Federal Way, $4.2 million in the biennium. That's even factoring in the debt service that we'll have to pay. We still stand to gain $2.1 million of usable money in our general fund budget. This is about making a business decision for our community. Our SCORE budget has skyrocketed since joining 7 years ago, increasing $3.9 million. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an increase of 173%. I'll say that again. Over the course of the past few years that we've been in SCORE, our budget for jail services is 170%. That is not sustainable, or it would literally be less expensive for the city to put people into the Courtyard Marriott here in Federal Way at a suite than it is to send somebody at SCORE. And while we love the people at the Courtyard Marriott, we're not going to do that. The people of this community deserve to have their taxpayer funds spent wisely. We have other inmate housing options available to us that will save us significantly. There are items that need to be addressed in the budget as they are a major initiative for the city and my administration, and therefore are necessities. Included in my budget is funding in 2019 for the University Initiative. And we've got great partners with Highline and the school district and the University of Washington Tacoma. We're excited about those partnerships, and those efforts are progressing. We are literally looking for space right now with our partners to make sure that we've got a location. And that's going to be a transformative program. And on the heels of the release of our Quiet and Healthy Skies Task Force report, thanks to Yarden Weidenfeld, who's just a genius on policy issues, he and his team and the task force that we put together put an outstanding product together. I'm recommending to the council to allocate funding to pay for the study, about $1,000 in both 2019 and 2020. And I'm also proposing allocating funding for the Sustainable Airport Master Plan, or the SAM, review in both years as well. We must be engaged on this. This is a quality of life issue for our city. And we value our pivotal partners in the community, and that's why I'm pleased to announce, as I did last night, that I'm proposing allocating funds, continuing our pivotal partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, and that's right, it's on film. Yeah, exactly. All right, that's a cut. As well as the Historical Society. You know, anybody who knows me knows, if you ever walk in my, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Diana. And you know, your history is very important in a community that you were in, very important in a republic, very important in general, to remember your history, to remember how we got here. And the people at the Historical Society do incredibly important work. We also continue to provide support for the human services in our budget in 19 and 20. In 2018, we committed about $165,000 in general funds and pass-through funds to homeless prevention efforts, transitional housing, and emergency shelters. We have a very generous community as well with our faith-based organizations, but that's the money that's coming through the general fund. As we access our painted side of the house, we make sure we're applying an even code that will protect against the storm. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we know it will come eventually. It always does. We are focused on keeping facilities clean and putting the needs and vision of the residents of this community in the forefront. We are fortunate to have dedicated and hardworking council members who are leaders with vision and commitment to Federal Way. My proposed budget, our proposed budget, to bring into being all the individual programs and projects that address these community needs. Thank you to my partners in all the departments, and a special thanks to my finance director, Ade Irugulu, and his team for their hard work on this budget. And thank you to the Chamber for having me here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you again for planning for our pivotal partnership as we move forward. The pivotal partnerships, as you see from our, are very important to us. Rhonda Wiki, did you sneak in? With Lake Haven Water and Sewer, the school district, and South King Fire and Rescue in the city, pivotal partnerships allow us to provide you an overall program of work that lets us do some education, some training, and some really, hey, that's interesting programming. So thank you to our pivotal partners. Let's recognize them. So we can see from from the crowd here today. You can never have too much information from elected officials, and the Chamber's next quarterly update from the city is scheduled for next Wednesday. If there's a topic you'd like to address, just shoot it over. But please RSVP in advance. Our space is limited, and we want to be prepared so that it's an enjoyable experience for everyone. So allow me to take a minute and introduce just two new faces that are guests here, and we look forward to having you as part of our Chamber network today. From the Tulsa Vermont Community Center, we have Joe. I'm not even trying the last name. Who is opening a headquarters right here in Federal Way. And also Brian from Spectra. Princess Way, that's what we make you do. Brian, Princess Wave is this. You're going to work on that. But we look forward to seeing more of you, and we're glad you're here as our guest today. So let's take a moment to recognize the business leaders working together. Please stand and be recognized. Yeah. Ambassador of the Month is a tie. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have a drum roll? Leah from Trillium Employment Agency and Chase from Funeral Alternatives. Ambassador of the Month for August. Official plaques. On the back of your agenda are upcoming events. We have a Business After Hours with Fusion, which is a Community Impact Award winner, a grand reopening and ribbon cutting at Planet Fitness, and a member orientation for members. No matter how long you've been a member of this Chamber of Commerce, there's always new benefits. So please come and see how you can access them better. Also, Sound Transit, our cornerstone investor, is going to be holding in September open community forums on the Tacoma Dome Light Rail Extension, September 11th. They'll be here, and there's a table here for more information. That's in the evening, so you will still have time during the afternoon to participate with South King Fire and their 9/11 memorial service. Okay, everyone's favorite part, the prizes. Are you ready for prizes? The pie chart. I have 2 tickets for the Rhythm and Brews Festival, which I think is marketing genius from the Federal Way Symphony. Bad boy Chris Levin, who's our winner? Leanne Taylor from Cedarwood Lodge. We have Sounder tickets, 2 Sounders tickets. To soccer. Cindy, do. What are you doing? Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, now we have 2 tickets. Oh, the Sounder tickets. You actually won. 2 tickets to the Tampa Federal Way at the Farmers Market, formerly the Chili Cook-Off. They're up in their game a little bit there. Go to Yvonne Rank. Potential. Yvonne, where are you? Stand up. Okay, she's got a target on her. She's a potential new member. Welcome to the Chamber Network. Everyone's a winner of the Chamber. 2 tickets to the complete works of William Shakespeare at Center Stage. What? We'll skip that because I'm keeping it. No. Vicki Chenoweth from Puget Sound, Keller Williams. Yes. And a $15 Starbucks gift card. And a 1 pound Starbucks coffee. Are they 2?
Oh, I think it's 1 right.
Oh, a wrong thing. Sure, we'll pull. From Do the Right Thing. She's making you work, Mike. From Equinox, Sean. Was that it? Price-wise? Okay. So thank you very much. Please take a moment when we leave to check out our display tables before we take them down. These are the members that are working to create business success in our regional corridor. So success in building both business and communities comes from staying open to new ideas, to be inclusive as we explore these ideas together. Wow, you guys are really excited about the prizes. But your chamber provides opportunities for you to exchange ideas with other leaders that are like you in business, in the community, and in government to help you make your business run smoother and to ensure that our community is ever more prosperous. The Chamber works to advocate for your company and the community, creating a climate of growth and success that will benefit us all. Because issues that impact our ability to grow and sustain our economic base matter to the community, they must matter to you and your business. The Chamber is advocating on your behalf when it focuses on those top civic issues like the city budget and the homelessness crisis that the city and other community stakeholders are working to address right now. I want to thank our members for participating in our homeless survey. We will have data-driven input from our businesses to share with those stakeholders later on this month. As we move forward, the board has identified, based on your input, that the next data-driven project we will be exploring is the impact of zoning and permitting on your bottom line. So connecting to ideas and to issues and to people grows your business. And building that powerful network of leadership is the business of the Chamber. You don't have to look very far for those people. They are right here in the room today. They are right now sitting in their offices, working at businesses throughout our region, because our Chamber network knows it's not where you're located. It's where you want to do business. And if you're looking for prosperity in the South Sound region in the coming decade, where you want to do business is right here in Federal Way. So when you are looking for that path to business success, remember that all you ever have to do is take the Federal Way. Indeed. Please join us next month on State of Education with Superintendent Dr. Tammy Campbell, sponsored by Cornerstone Investor Red Canoe. Have fun, and I'll see you next month.